Hey, what's up, Blazer fans? Welcome to We Have a Take the What podcast. I am Tara Bowen Biggs, joined as always by Rose Harding. Hello, Rose.
Hi, Tara. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. It's been a long 2 weeks since we've talked. I was just like checking about the last time that we had a conversation that we recorded. I mean, we've been texting pretty much constantly this entire time, but it's been 2 weeks since we talked about the Blazers, and boy, have a lot of things happened since we last talked.
Yeah, talk about whiplash. I feel like, you know, we started out with that first game where everybody felt really good about it, and then the next day was not so great, and then we were whipped in the other direction, and
Yeah.
then I don't even know where we are right now. So I guess like a good question to start with, like what are the vibes? Are we feeling good?
Um, Overall, yeah, I would say, on the meter, whatever is
Hmm.
I'm above cautiously optimistic, but I'm not sure I'm elated. I mean,
Hmm.
I no, I one step above cautiously optimistic seems less excited than I actually feel. I guess what I'm saying is that I am optimistic. I'm also just so thrilled that the NBA season is here and that we're in it and we're not waiting anymore, that literally anything could happen and I would be excited. Um, but about the team right now, like my vibes are high. I mean, come on, Rose. When Tiago Splitter was named the interim head coach, I actually don't know if it could get any higher than that.
I know, and I felt so bad about being happy about that because the circumstances around it are less than ideal. I thought that there was a chance that someday he might end up the head coach based on what a friend of the podcast, Mike, uh,
Chris,
what?
Chris Burkhardt?
No, no, sorry, assistant GM Mike Schmitz
Oh, our
said to us,
BFF, Mike Schmidt.
yes, when we saw him this summer, he also sounded very high on Tiago Splitter when we talked to him. But I did had no idea that it would happen this quickly or that it would be
Or this way.
this way. Yes. And so I was so excited, but I was also like sort of horrified because at the same time, the team is going through something really stressful and horrible and like can make people question their own reality and be really hard to start a season this way where they'd prepared one way and oh yeah, now your leader is changing. Um, so it was like I was like really elated when I heard that about Tiago Splitter, but I was also like feeling bad about it.
Mm.
I had some
I
shame around feeling happy.
I was thinking about the playlist that we made and how quickly the line "sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug" came into play.
Which Calabro said on one of the broadcasts this year already.
Isn't that interesting?
He said something about being a bug on a windshield.
I
And I was like, oh,
know. I know. Um, okay, what about you? How are your vibes?
um, so my vibes are really high. I will say like they're coming back down to earth a little bit. And here's why. The injury bug is already biting us.
Hmm.
I just don't feel like we're ever gonna have every guy that we want available at one time because it's like Rob is back. Matisse has had
Yeah,
surgery. Like
right. That's because you can't have too much of a good thing. We have to keeps us grounded.
it does. And there is I'll say like I think every fan base has their relationship with loss, but like this fan base, we've experienced a lot of loss to injury. And I think that we've just started accepting that this is the way of the world.
Hmm. My overwhelming, and I don't know if this is a vibe or not, but every time I watch them the last several games, I just keep going, "Oh my God, they're so competent." Like
Hmm.
so competent. And part of it is like, readjusting how we watch and what we're seeing. It's kind of like we went through 10 years of watching Damian Lillard and got used to watching one way, and then that was gone, and got used to watching a completely different kind of basketball. And now we're getting used to watching a different kind. And right now, the way I would characterize it is competent. And I didn't realize
Hmm.
how not competent or how God, that sounds horrible. And I don't want to say that they were like not competent, but like right now, like I'm not worried about stuff except for the bounce passes are going to drive me crazy. And when I die, my tombstone is going to say Denny Avdia bounced past through through a pocket bounce pass and it finally killed her. I mean, they work, but oh my gosh, they're killing me. They're just like, oh God, did we have to do that? Okay, okay, okay.
I mean, at least they're connecting to guys most of the time now, whereas like, you know, earlier last season they were bounce passes to nowhere.
Exactly. Right. No, no, that's what I mean by the competence. It's
Mhm.
like maybe it's a little shaky, maybe like, it's like, oh, okay. But you know that they like are they're locked in on what they're supposed to be doing. Like their roles are clear, where they're supposed to be, even if it's not like exactly where you're supposed to be, but like where you're supposed to be running, like what your role is when you're on the court. It's all clear.
Yeah. I I was kind of like a little nervous. So that first game I was realizing like, oh, we're playing really fast. Like, I mean part of it is like we have some guys like Blake Wesley who just run. But I was like, can this team handle going faster than they did even last at the toward the end of last season? Because it got real sloppy when they were going fast like that at times. And I'm like shocked that it's not sloppier.
Hmm.
And so like that part, that vibe about like our style of play suiting this team, like I'm high on that one. I'll tell you what, like this feels like it suits us. It's fun to watch. The defense is like oppressive. I don't know how good we are at stopping points from being scored though. Like that's the weird thing is I'm like the defense looks really good as far as like the eye tests and all the stuff like that. Like create a bunch of turnovers, like that's those stats are look really great, but like we still don't stop them from scoring as many points as I thought they might.
I have had that exact same thing. It was just, and also like when the first game when they scored 70 points in the first half of the first game, I was like, wait a minute, what's happening? But I was also like, yeah, if the defense is good, and I'm like seeing lots of stops, but I'm also and still seeing lots of points on the board. To get back, you said something about sloppy, and you weren't saying that the team was playing sloppy, but that word kind of like set off in my brain. The what I'm seeing is kind of like chaos versus sloppiness. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And it used to be that it would be like, they would just kind of like lose the ball out because like it didn't seem like they were paying it as much attention. And now it's like they seem locked into what they're doing, but it's just so fast and so like takes up so much of the field that it's very chaotic to watch.
Can I tell you that one of the things that I thought like I think like 2 games ago, um, when I was thinking a little bit about like still I was still thinking about like the Scoot injury and the or like how short we are and kind of like the point guard position. I was like, this is going to be a really great style to bring Scoot back into. Like, if
Mm,
I could pick any type style of basketball to play around Scoot, this would be what I would pick based on what we've seen of him so far. And so I'm actually really excited for him to be able to come back from injury because I think this style will suit him.
mhm. I keep having the flip side of that, which is how's Damian Lillard gonna run this?
Yeah, this would be a big departure from the style of basketball Damian Lillard has typically played here. And
Yes.
even in Milwaukee too. Um,
Hmm.
but he loves it. Did you see that video of him on Instagram where he was talking about Tumani Kamara's defense at the end of that Jazz game?
No.
Oh, it's great. I'll
Oh.
send it to you. But he talks about how like, how Tumani was like the reason why that win got done and it doesn't get done without him like making those plays and
Hmm.
how excited he was for him and how he's elite and he was like hyping up too and he was also like you could see like Damian Lillard he's kind of reserved about his like happiness but like
Yeah.
you could tell he was really happy and I just kept on thinking about when I was hearing him say that I was like he picked this team like he picked this team he wanted
Yeah.
to play with this team he wanted to play this style of basketball so like I know that the Damian that we are used to is going to be prepared to try his very best once he's back.
Yeah, and that's always what I turn to after I have that thought of like, "Ooh, how's Damian Lillard gonna fit into this?" I think if anybody can make it work, it's Damian because it's his team. Like you said, he chose to come back here, and he's not like the person brought in or whatever. It's this is his team. Like whether or not he's like the on-court leader at this time or at that time, like this is the team that he chose, just like you said.
Yeah. I'm so pleased. And oh God, can I say I can't believe well, okay. I won't even go get into this because I think I think we have an activity planned that will let me
Yes,
talk about this a little bit more, but
sweet.
um maybe let's get into that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but we were talking before this. We are like, how on earth are we gonna structure what we're gonna talk about today? Because so much has happened. And so what we did is we each just took like 3 minutes and wrote down randomly like the top things that popped into our head. And I I got 8 things, and I think you also got 8 things in 3 minutes where
Mhm.
we were just like, boom. And so we haven't shared our list with each other. I bet there's going to be crossover, but I bet there's going to be different things. And this is just like so much has happened that like we didn't even know where to start. So we were like, what comes to our brains first? Let's go. So do you
Mhm.
want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So the first thing on my list is very obviously because we haven't talked about it is like Chauncey Billups is out and Tiago Splitter is in. And I'll say I am not a person who works in the law. I don't know anything about the legal aspect of what's going on here, but I'll just say like I'm so unsettled about how long this is probably going to be drawn out and how temporary some of this is going to feel for a long time. I think that the team has been handling it really, really well, but for me, like I was like, oh, I wish it wasn't like this. I'm not unhappy with the decision for them to bring in Tiago, as we talked about already, but like, I just wish it didn't feel so temporary, like a substitute, like a long-term substitute teacher type of thing.
Right. Like if the first week of school your teacher goes out and like you get a substitute that's going to be there, like, are they going to be here the whole year? Are they going to be here till winter break? What are we going to do? Are they going to be turned into our regular full-time teacher? How's everybody
Hmm.
going to react to that when they didn't go out and do a full-scale recruitment of a new teacher? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there is a lot. That was actually not my first thing on my list, but let's
Oh.
keep continue to talk about it. I know I was shocked that that wasn't the first thing on my list either, but I was just like going with like what comes to my mind first.
Hmm.
So I um left last Thursday morning on my trip to go watch the Blazers play in LA.
Hmm.
So when I woke up on Thursday morning, like I had gone to the game the night before opening night. And by the way, the first thing on my list was the Blazers almost won on opening night. That was like tone setting for me. Um, so 5 o'clock in the morning, because I'm an early riser, I get the notification, and I was just like, the coach got arrested? Like, not just like in trouble for something or like got, implicated in something. Like, they're talking like dragged out of bed, clearly grabbed the first thing that was near, which was a clutch sweatshirt,
I know.
which is like a whole nother thing to talk about. Grabbed out of bed, threw on his clutch sweatshirt, and was taken down to wherever they take someone. And I just like could not. I was like, I'm headed to California, and the coach just got arrested. And I can't tell you
Yeah.
how many times in the last 10 days I've been like, and then the coach got arrested.
Yeah, and it's not, I don't know, like some of the other, like when we've heard about players, I think in recent years getting in trouble with the law, it's usually like so and so's being investigated. Like some drip drop comes out first before something like this happens, and then you hear that like they usually arrange like, instead of like it being like an arrest in the middle of the night, it's like someone surrendering
Yeah.
themselves to custody, and it's done very orderly and not nearly with the same shock value. Um, but I couldn't believe that he was just arrested out of nowhere and we hadn't heard anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And my first reaction to that was just like, I can't stand gambling first in the first place. Like
No, neither am I.
I don't understand it. I have placed two bets in my life. I went down to one time when I was at Summer League, I bet on the Blazers to win it all because I wanted to just like go through the act of doing it. And the number of people that I had to talk to and explain it to me was like, I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing in the world. They're like, you got to go to a sports book. And I'm like thinking like it's actually a book. And they're like, no, you go down to just go to the sports book. And I'm like, what is the sports book? And like, and they're like, it's the place where you go to make the bet. And I'm like, where's the place that I make the bet? And they're like, at the sports book. And I'm like, is it a book? And like, it was just like going in circles. So anyway, nomenclature aside, the other time I made a bet is I did one parlay on like an app because I did that. I was like, I got to learn how this is done. I got to see what they're talking about. And I was like, this is ridiculous and not worth my time. And if people like to do it for entertainment, that's their thing. It's just personally not my thing. But the way it has taken over and consumed all of the sports leagues, like where you can't watch it without it being emblazoned all over the screen, that just gets ickier and ickier. And where this leads me is this: I'm so afraid that this is going to be so much deeper and involve so many more
Yeah.
players, coaches, people. Like people just get caught up in this, and it's so sad. And I'm really glad that it happened actually during the season because the players could like focus on basketball.
Yeah. I I'm with you about sports gambling. I'm like a risk adverse person. Like gambling doesn't make me feel good, it makes me feel stressed out. And so like I don't want to do an activity that makes me feel bad.
I
Um,
know.
but the one thing that I thought about was how like I think that I wish I don't know if this will happen. It probably won't because money usually talks more than anything, but like I wish the professional sports would kind of reckon with like the amount of I'll say the amount of a microphone that they've given this particular thing.
Mhm.
Like they've given over they've given over their entire sport. NBA, it's all over. It's not just NBA. It's
Yeah.
NBA, Major League Baseball, whatever. All the professional sports are like deeply in bed with all of the gamblings, FanDuel, and there's like a bunch of them now. I don't even know all their names.
Hmm.
And it's completely divorced from this idea that like this is a known addiction that ruins people's lives every day. There's like, I mean, it's not just alcohol, it's not just drugs. Like we have Gamblers Anonymous. Like this is something that we have not really talked about in the same way, but like this is an addictive behavior and it ruins people's lives. And how are sports profiting off that right now? It does not make me feel good. And it also makes me like realize how normalizing this is and how easy it is maybe for some people to stay away from it when it's not in their face all the time. And it's a lot harder now. And I can only imagine when you're like a professional athlete, whatever, like people want to know you now, not just because they want to know you because you're a celebrity and you do big, important things, but also now they can make money off of you.
Yeah. And they can yell at you if you cause them to lose money.
Yes, which is so gross.
Hmm. I just, when the disclaimer about gambling is almost as long as the ad for the gambling, I just kind of think like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? But well, okay, and then you add, I mean, the ties to the mafia.
Oh, I know.
So I recently, so this might not be of as much interest to you, Rose, but I'm sure there's listeners out there who have watched Real Housewives of New Jersey, and I just started Real Housewives of New Jersey, and one of the main characters is married to a man who had alleged connections to the crime families. And so they don't talk about it on Real Housewives of New Jersey itself, but in all of the discussions surrounding the show, they go into like which crime family and why, and all the things that just happened. So, but the second thing I did after just being shocked was I went and I looked and I was like, is it the same crime family that is allegedly connected to the Manzos in Real Housewives of New Jersey?
Is
Um,
it?
one of them.
Oh,
Because
okay.
the in this indictment, which I do not ever want to become a person who reads indictment. Like I'm so thankful that other people like have the knowledge and the interest to read it and can summarize it for me. But that is not that is not my path. But I did find the part in it where it mentioned which of the crime families was in, and there was definitely crossover with Real Housewives of New Jersey. So anytime there's an NBA and Real Housewives crossover, I just like to bring that up.
So is it Flappy or Albanian Bruce or who is it?
I love the name Flappy.
I know. Spoiler alert, Tara's trying to give everybody in our group chat like mob names just
Yes.
like for fun.
Right. And so I've changed everybody's like appearance. And so every time the group chat comes up, it's like I have you listed as Pookie. So it's like Pookie says.
And you just got to remember who they all are.
Yep. I got it. I got it. Mine like a steel trap. Yeah, no, it's a wild time. So just to like circle back on the how I said that I had took off on Thursday morning to go down to LA to watch the Blazers play in the back-to-back versus the Clippers and the Lakers. Did not happen because our car broke down in Santa Cruz. And we ended up spending 3 days in Santa Cruz, which of all places could have been worse. It was a lovely town, lots to do. However, we happened to be stuck literally in the shadow of the Santa Cruz Warriors building. So that's
Ugh.
where the Warriors, the Golden Warriors G League team is the Santa Cruz Warriors, and they have this big building, and we were like in the shadow of that. So it was probably my fault that any and all of this happened because I was staying so close to the Warriors facility. So I apologize for everything that I did by by being anywhere near that. But it definitely was bad juju for our car because it broke down and we couldn't get it fixed until Monday, and by then we weren't going to make it to LA. So I ended up missing the games in the LA road trip, which was sad, but could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse. You could have broken down like in the middle of nowhere. You could have not had got a Nick Batum jersey.
Yes, exactly. I had my Nick Batum jersey all ready to go. So my first thing on my list was like the opening night Blazers almost won, and my second thing was the coach arrested. But the third thing on my list was that they beat the stuffing out of the Golden Warriors. So I did get to watch that in a restaurant in Santa Cruz, in the shadow of the Santa Cruz Warriors building. So at least I had that going for me.
Yeah, suck it, Warriors.
Yes, exactly.
I was so like so I'll say it like I and maybe this is like my speaking to my trauma of being a basketball fan and especially a Blazers fan. It's like no lead is too big for me. Like I want to like when we have a lead, I want it to be huge. And then even when that Warriors game, I was like, if any team can cover a gap this big, it's gonna be them. But they didn't.
Except for it turned out to be the Utah Jazz.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Can I say, so this is a question I was like, I don't really know what's going on with the Utah Jazz besides the fact that they have a wonderful collection of giant white guys.
Yeah.
Are they still tanking? I don't know what they're doing.
I thought they were going to be, but it's Danny Ainge, so he'll probably pull the plug at some point. I don't know. I now I'm just like I feel like I lost so many opportunities to make money on the Blazers tanking season. I'm like, wait, how can I capitalize on this on one of the other tanking teams?
Yeah, I don't know. Like they don't look like they're tanking. So I don't it's probably too early to tell, right? At the beginning of the season, you're still trying to figure out who your team is, and especially if you um have like the Blazers last year, or was it last year? Yeah, like last year, like they were tanking until they weren't,
Yeah.
So you never know when people are gonna flip the switch. But I was just like watching them play. I'm like, you're not playing like you're tanking.
They lost by oh wait, no, they lost to the Suns. Oh my,
The
okay, the way
Suns
that
are
Google
really
is
bad
showing me
though.
these results is very bizarre. So I'm not saying with it says there's a big red L, but then the um did they lose to the Sun that game to the Suns? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what the Jazz are doing either. But the third thing, like I said, on my list was that they beat the Golden State Warriors, which was always great. Um but again, it wasn't just like a fluke. It was because they were doing things right and they were so competent.
I know. And like, you know how we talked last year about how we weren't that worried about things like turnovers and like them trying to make stuff happen.
Hmm.
Like a lot of those things that they were trying to do last year that didn't work out are like working out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it did help that they didn't have Al Horford that game. I would have loved to have seen Donovan up against Al Horford.
Mm. So yeah, the Jazz split with they've played the Suns twice, it looks like. Um, and so one of them they beat them in overtime, and one of them they lost by like 20 points.
Okay.
So and though their NBA Cup game
Oh,
they lost by like 20 points. But the Suns are also not good.
that's what I mean. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
hmm. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's not like the Jazz, have a great record. They're like 2-3 at this point. But yeah, it's hard to know what they'll be doing. But I think we're gonna need more games with them to find out what they're going on. I also don't even know, is there like a consensus number one player in this draft? I mean,
In the last draft,
no, in the upcoming one that
on the
anybody would
upcoming
be
draft,
on purpose
I don't know.
tanking for.
I don't know. I have no yeah, that's not
Yeah.
my thing that I know about.
Well, it's just like Wembanyama and Cooper Flag were so big and so
Yeah.
obvious. And I don't know that this year has anybody like that. And I'm sure somebody who might be listening is probably screaming about like some person that we should know about. So if we are ignorant on that fact, just let us know who everyone it would be tanking for this year.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of times now it's like international guys, so it's not even a guy in like the American college system.
Yeah.
So tell us if like Jurgen Stojakovic is the next big thing or whatever. Those aren't names that go together, by the way. They're from completely different countries, but I just said them.
You never know.
You never know.
What else do you have on your list?
On my list is, oh my God. I love having Jrue Holiday on my team so much. And he's been so comforting to have at the end of these close games. Like those were games I think that were hard for our coaching staff last year to coach through at the end when they were close, and it was hard for our players to play through because you have to have really good grasp on game management when it's close. And Jrue can do that really well. He can do it like he was doing some things in, I guess it was the game against it wasn't the one against the Jazz. It was the one before that that was close. Um where I just felt like he handled it like a pro and we were really at risk of losing that game, except for the fact that he knew exactly how to foul. He knew exactly how to get good free throws. Like he felt really, really stable. Anyway, I
I, I totally agree. I love having Jrue Holiday on this team. And he looks like he's having so much fun. And like all of his interviews, he's so complimentary about his teammates. I mean, not that I'm expecting that he would not be complimentary about his teammates, but he like seems so genuinely like happy to be here and enjoying himself, despite the fact that the coach just got arrested. He still seems, he's got that he just seems like to be playing with like he's having a lot of fun and like kind of a not dead yet, I'm not done yet situation. We
Mhm.
were all like, oh, 35 years old, he must be just about done. And he's like, oh, excuse me. And remember, we were like, sorry, buddy, you're going to have to score. Well, guess who's scoring?
He's a very patient player. Like now that I get to watch more of when you're watching an opponent play, you're not watching the nuance of their game as much because you're just reacting to like what they're doing to your team. Now that I get to like watch him play and watch him with the ball more and like think about him more from like him being on my team, I realize he's so patient and he's like waiting to see things develop. And sometimes sometimes like because I think because this team is moving so quickly, sometimes he's holding the ball and I'm like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? He's just waiting for the defense to do exactly what he wants them to do. And at the exact moment where they are in the position that he wants them to be in, then he'll take a shot. He's not rushed. He's just waiting for it to develop and happen. And like a couple of those shots that he's gotten off like right before the buzzer, like he's had a couple of buzzer beaters. He's like was totally patient for. He knew exactly what was going on with the clock. He was watching the defense. He knew exactly what he was looking for. He took that shot. Looked great. Just so patient compared to some of the stuff that I've seen our team do in as like that clock is winding down.
Hmm. When we were doing the deep dive on him, I really enjoyed listening to him talk about the veterans that he had and like Andre Iguodala and people who
Hmm.
were on the team when he was like first, second, third year in Philadelphia and how he had to learn how to quiet his mind. And he really plays like that. Like
Hmm.
he's able to focus on the things that he needs to focus on, still have peripheral understanding of everything that's going on, but instead of being overwhelmed by all the information coming in, to really be able to like hone on what he needs. And from listening to him talk, it sounds like that's something that he learned, right? Like it's like some people have like natural instincts, but it sounds like something that, it's a combination of like he had good natural instincts, but also he learned how to do it, which makes me think, oh, maybe that's something that can be taught.
Yeah. I heard actually, because I still follow CJ McCollum. CJ in like a post, I don't remember, I think it was might have been preseason actually, but he talked about because he's sort of the vet leader on that Washington Wizards team right now. He talked about talking to his young guys about how you need to have things that can quiet your mind. Um, so he's like preaching that over there. He's trying to teach those guys that. I see like Jrue get to like have that impact on our guys, and I realize that that's like such a valuable person to have to teach your young players that they don't have to learn it necessarily the hardest way possible, which is to like, like crash out and burn out. Um, and I'm just so thankful for that because like from what I know, even like so Denny is kind of older on this team, which is crazy because he's like only like 24. But like as far as like his years of NBA experience, he's been here a while. And like I can tell like by the way he plays, like his mind is probably very, very loud.
Yeah.
So even somebody like him could probably still like figure out good ways to quiet their mind with Jrue. I've heard him talk on podcasts about how like the things that he's done in order to try to do that for himself, but it's a work in progress. So,
Who,
um,
Denny or Drew?
Denny,
Okay.
Denny's talked about that. He's talked about he plays music and some other stuff like that, and
Uh-huh.
he likes to take ice baths at home for God knows why, but um like, but just all these things that
Yeah.
guys can do for themselves to care for themselves over the season. Because, like, when you're coming from college, you don't play 82 games.
Hmm.
It's,
Yeah. Well, and the thing with Denny that is like he is really chaotic and it causes a lot of chaos to the other team to have to react to. And so it's kind of nice to have like a combination of guys who like play like Drew versus, Denny who's like all instinct.
mhm.
Um like I said, it's going to be on my tombstone, but I wouldn't change it. Like I think his style of play of going 1,000 miles an hour is really important to keep everybody going that way.
Yeah. It's a feature of this team. This team, like, that is a feature of what we're trying to do here. It's like very clear based on the guys that they brought in over the summer and the
Hmm.
way that they've been playing. Like, you don't go out and get Blake Wesley in the off season if you don't want to play this way.
Blake Wesley is number 4 on my list.
Oh, tell me about your thought about Blake Wesley.
I mean, just it was like just the fact that Blake Wesley was like really excelling until he hurt his foot, and that was just absolutely crushing to me because, having him come out, he was another like in a completely different way from Delano Banton, but he was like one of these like little surprises that you could like unleash on the other team, and the other team is like, what the heck is going on here? And while it was, sometimes Delano Banno hitting a lot of threes, it's like Blake Wesley up in your face and not letting
Yes.
you go anywhere. And he's just I was so happy for him. I was just looking at his stats. So he was playing about 16 minutes, and he had 6 points, 3 assists, 2.3 rebounds, half a block, and 1.7 steals. Like he had 2 steals in all games but one, and then that when he didn't have any. So in the 5 games or 6 games that he played, he had 2 steals.
Hmm.
5 of the 6 games that he played, he had 2 steals. He's absolute chaos. But I
Yeah.
loved him. I'm so happy for him.
It's so funny because he's exactly the style of player that I think you like. Because I don't think you like players that are too predictable.
You
Like,
know?
like Al Farouk Aminu was not predictable. Like he has that chaos element. And like
Oh yeah.
those are both guys that like they put everything into what they're doing. They leave it all out on the floor. And like I don't know, like I was just thinking the other day when I was watching him like before he got injured, I was like the way he gets up in people's faces, I'm like if Blake Wesley wears cologne, everyone in the NBA knows what it smells like.
I love that.
He's just all up in there all the time. And it's so exciting to watch. And also that he has the energy to do it like I don't know, like it remind like his shifts kind of remind me of like hockey and that like like you have like full line changes and like
Hmm.
like the way that and he's not obviously like he himself is not like a full line change, but like the vibe changes. He goes really hard for his short shift and then he's out because he needs to take a rest.
Hmm.
And like that's what reminds me about hockey like reminds me of hockey is because like that's what you do in hockey is you skate really, really hard for your shift and then you're out. And
Hmm.
they can be quite quick. They can, they might only be like a minute shift in
Yeah.
hockey. And obviously in basketball it's longer, but like you see him put everything he has until he's dead tired and then he needs to take a break and then he comes back out and he does it again.
And he's absolutely relentless. Like he doesn't give anybody any space and then he does it again.
Hmm.
There's so many times and like Matisse kind of has done I've seen Matisse do it too, where they go and they get a steal and like practically the next trip down, they do exactly the same thing and the other team is not ready. And it's
Hmm.
like you got I can see them not being ready for Blake Wesley because they're kind of like, wait, where did Blake Wesley come from? Like maybe he's probably on the scouting reports now, but like he probably wasn't before. But like Matisse Thybulle should be on scouting reports when he's playing, and like
Hmm.
Matisse will do things to you twice consistently, and I love that. I love it when he does one thing and then he does the exact same thing again, and the other team is just like, oops.
Yeah. He's like, told you.
I hate it when our team does that though. Our team, the team that
Yes.
I'm rooting for should not make the same mistake twice.
I know. They just need you sitting courtside yelling behind you.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. And that is happening less. And that I think it's a beginning of the year thing where they're trying to like figure out all the things that they're supposed to take in and remember. Because last year I remember at the beginning of the season, the whole time it was like behind you, behind you. They kept getting the ball stolen from behind. And then it tapered off. And now it's starting to taper off again.
What was it? Was it the Jazz game? There was one game. No, it was the Laker game, I think, where I think Austin Reeves like waved off help getting the ball up the court. Because we were picking them up full court like every possession, and then he gets the ball stolen. Like it's so I must be so frustrating to play against a guy like Blake Wesley who is like he treats every possession like it's the last one, like he needs a defensive stop, and you're never just like getting to take that possession off, and you just get to dribble it up the court without having to think about it. Like he makes you think constantly. No,
Yeah.
just just no, just like rolling back and sitting in the half court and waiting for the ball to come to you. He's coming to you with when you got that ball on the other side of the court.
Yeah, you don't need to casually bring it up. I can't wait to see him again. I can't I hope that he's not out. Have we seen anything? I don't recall if we've seen anything about what happened.
I haven't seen anything about his injury yet.
In the arena, I know what I thought happened is I thought he twisted his ankle because then afterwards, after he went down, he stood up and he like was testing it, you know what like you do when you twist
Hmm.
your ankle. I don't remember seeing him actually twist it, but I remember him testing it and kind of walking and then he sat back down and then I was like, "Oh no." So, for whatever that's worth, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just hope it's but did he walk off or did
I think
he
he walked off on his own, if
Okay.
I recall,
I hope so. I hope he's
which
okay.
I always consider a good sign.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah. I'm really enjoying the Blake Wesley show. You and I have both picked out a couple of nicknames that we're trying to make happen.
Yours is better. I'll just admit that.
But I'm trying to make Hot Wheels happen because like I was thinking about him watching him play. And one, he does look to me like like a wagon flying down a hill with the wheels about to fall off, like a kid that I used to go to middle school with, but we won't get into that. But the other thing that he reminds me of is he reminds me of when little kids play with toy cars and they make them fly around in the most completely non-car way ever. Like they're using their imagination. And that's what I feel like Blake Wesley is. He is like a Hot Wheels car flying in the hand of a 3-year-old, just doing whatever and making your life wild.
I like that. Yeah, my nickname for him, so like after the coach allegations came out, I did read the part of the indictment that listed all the nicknames or all listed all of the co-conspirators
Yeah, and their names.
and their nicknames, and I was like, "Oh man, Flappy, that would be such a good nickname because he's like so long." And like that's like he's like one of those, you know, one like outside a car dealership where they're flapping their arms and
Oh my
like
God, yeah.
like that's Flap, like he would be such a good Flappy. But now that name has a not great association now that it showed up on the indictment. And I got it
It
from the
feels
indictment, but that doesn't mean that, we have to think of Blake Wesley in that way because Flappy's such a great nickname.
it feels like bad juju just like right now
I
to
know.
like make anything from the indictment stick to these guys because I
I
want them to
know.
leave that behind them right now, just to be able to focus on basketball and leave that chaos like in the rear view for the time being.
Yeah.
But it is a good nickname and maybe
Yeah.
somebody should have
Prayers
something.
up for Flappy Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
We could call
But
him Flappy Hot Wheels.
I still do like the idea of him being like a toy car, just like flying around, doing whatever, defying gravity. Like how kids play with cars. They don't just hold them around along the floor. Are you kidding? That's not what they do. And he was wearing shoes the other day where I was like, this would make a good Hot Wheels like colorway for a Hot Wheels car. Interestingly enough, I used to know a guy like 20 years ago, and his job was designing Hot Wheels cars.
Oh, what a great job.
I know. He's like, it's really fun, but it also gets really boring because you feel like at a certain point you've done everything.
Wow. That would be amazing. We had the biggest bucket of Hot Wheels. We had like a one of the big Rubbermaid, like
Mm.
I'm holding my hands out because it's like one of the ones that was like, I don't know, 2 feet
Oh, the thick
tall.
one, like the deep one, not just like the
Yes.
short one. Yeah.
Yes, the deep one. And we had one of those. It was like half full. Like if it was full of, you wouldn't be able to pick it up because it would be too heavy. But it
Hmm.
was like half full, and we would just dump that on the ground, and then they would get out their wooden blocks and they would set up like freeway systems, and then they would play with their cars on those. My kids were very into infrastructure.
Love that. I mean, Legos are infrastructure too. They can be infrastructure. Like my daughter's really into Legos, but she's into like cute Legos.
Yeah, mine were definitely into Legos, but you can't like drive a car on Legos as well.
Mhm. That's true.
Not as smooth. Not as
That's
smooth.
true.
Okay, let's see. I'm halfway through my list. Are you
Yes.
halfway through yours?
I believe so. Yeah, because Blake Wesley was on my list.
Okay. Um, my next one, Kris Murray playing
Oh my
great.
God.
What a revelation. Loving me some Kris Murray.
I see the vision with Chris Murray now, and I'll say like for a while I didn't. I didn't really know what he could be. And this year I see the vision and I'm so excited because he looks what I would hope he would look like at this point, I think. Like he's good, he's solid on D, he's taking the shots when they're coming to him. Like what else could I ask for him to look like
Competent.
a competent like role player,
They're so
you know?
competent.
It sounds really, when I say competent, it doesn't sound like a compliment, but I mean that in the biggest
Oh
possible way
yeah.
as a compliment.
No, I absolutely mean competent in in a great way. Like competent means you know what you're doing.
Hmm. Like he's been really good on defense. He's been taking those offensive opportunities when they come to him. He moves off ball. Like sometimes I still see the offense get a little bit stagnant where people stand around and wait for something to happen. But more now than last season, I think I'm seeing a lot more cutting, a lot more moving off the ball. And I'm thrilled to see it. And Kris looks so good and like he knows what he wants to do and what he's trying to do. I mean,
Two
dang.
hands for safety, getting his
2 hands
two-handed
for
dunks.
safety.
I was very curious because the chatter about Kris Murray, some of the chatter that I've heard about him from different social social media was that the that Chauncey played him because he did whatever Chauncey said.
Mm,
And that Chauncey could rely on him to like do all of the things that maybe not score, but like all the defensive things, that he was asked to do. So I was curious to see if a different coach would treat him differently. I don't know if he is or if he isn't. I just know that he's out there playing with like a confidence that
mm.
it just like he just like I keep and this is a really bad thing to say, but I just keep thinking he looks like a grown man. Like, you know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
looks like he's not like a kid anymore trying to figure it out. He's like a guy who knows exactly what he's doing. I wish I had better analysis than they're competent and they look like they know what they're doing.
I mean, one of the things that I've noticed this year, like across the board, is like they are switching far faster and more confidently than they were last year. Like, I mean, not to say that they were bad at it last year, but here you can see that guys can anticipate when they need to switch. And sometimes there's like a blow, they like blow a switch on defense, but like in general, it has been tighter. And there's fewer possessions this year so far that I've seen where like the other team just passes the ball around enough until they have a guy that like gets left behind and is completely open. There's
Mhm.
fewer of those shots that I've seen go up where there's just a completely open guy. And you can see the Blazers talk about it. Like when that happens, like I see some of those guys sometimes go to each other and talk about it when like
Mhm.
they miss a switch or whatever. Um, and I mean, dang, like I just never thought I would see a Blazers defense that was quite like operating this well this early in a season. Like there was always the promise of it. People always like I remember like during the Stotts era, they're like, oh, this year it's gonna be different. This year it's gonna be different. But like it never looked like this. And I don't
Mhm.
remember even if we could have moments like this, it would have never have happened in October.
The last few minutes of that last game against Denver was so freaking thrilling.
I was screaming.
Okay, I don't think Chris Murray was on the floor, but so we're going off on a different one. But
Yes.
but I mean, he was in there for a lot of the important. Oh wait, yeah, no, he had come back in that game. Yeah, he did play really well in that game. He missed
Hmm.
some, I think, for illness um before, but he was definitely in that game and he had a really good game. But the end of that game was so thrilling the way that they just like turned up the defense. And it wasn't like they weren't playing defense, but they like turned it up and you could tell that they willed all of that to happen. And that was so I was sitting during the Denver game, I was sitting next to some people who had come from Denver to watch the game. And so I had a really good time talking to them about it. And at the end of the game, like, when there was like 2 seconds left or whatever, like maybe 6 seconds left, the guy was like, whatever happens, this has been such a fun game to watch. And like, your team is going to be really fun to watch. And this was like really fun to be here. But yeah, the way that they turned it up and didn't make mistakes in the last few minutes of that game was so thrilling.
I went and looked at the last 2 minute report of that game,
Hmm.
and I was because everybody was screaming. They were like, "Tumani, maybe he goaltended, maybe he fouled Jokic," and like the last 2 minute report supported that the calls were made correctly in the game.
Hmm.
And even so, I was like, the fact that we have players that will try that stuff at this point, like that's so exciting for me. Like I don't. I think it's past Blazer trauma where I think about like, oh, we need one stop at the end. Ugh, like, better pray they miss it. Like, that's just how I've been used to like watching the end of a game where we need to be defensive. I mean, like and also I wanted to point out to you here, even Shaden, this is on my list, so I'll bring it up now.
Okay,
Even
great.
Shaden was getting closer minutes when the goal was defense.
Hmm.
And like we talked a lot about like what can Shaden do on defense this year? Well, he's getting the trust so far, and not in every circumstance, but in some at least, to get some closer minutes when the goal is defense. And I feel really like heartened by that.
It's funny. I was thinking about the other day about the closer minutes because you know how, we say doesn't matter who starts, and it matters who finishes the game. And the way this is another way that Tiago is different from their old coach, is that like he just throws out lineups. It's like, oh, that is, huh,
Hmm.
not what I would have done. But so like, and an example of that was having Shaden in, but he had both Shaden and Jeremy in, but he was also switching it. So like the end of the game, it's hard to know because like what's the end of the game? Who was in the last 2 minutes? But you're gonna do five more substitutions in the last 2 minutes.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. That was just a thought that I had, that Tiago is willing to try a lot of things and a lot of them work.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of that is like like I heard him say that sometimes you just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, but like a lot of that is because all of these guys are hungry and they all do really feel like they can contribute. Everybody here is here to contribute and here to earn minutes. And I always every player talks about this because I think they're media trained to talk this way, but like, oh, next man up. But like that's easier said than done, and they're behaving in a way that makes me feel like they're actually prepared to do that next man up.
Hmm.
Um, on the other side of the shade, can I bring up one more thing? My next thing.
Absolutely.
So it's on the other side of the Shaden being earning some closer minutes. I want to talk about Jerami Grant because he like transformed this season. It's like they like put him on the bench, and all of a sudden he's here to prove that he doesn't belong there.
It's like, who's this? That was my last one. Who's Jeremy? Who is this Jeremy Grant?
Yeah, he he is having the ideal response to being benched that I think every coach wishes for from a player. Like you know how sometimes like players will get benched from the starting lineup or whatever, and they want to see this person work harder or do more or
Yeah.
whatever. Jerami Grant is doing exactly what you want every single guy to do when they're benched out of the starting lineup. He wants to force you to put him back in the starting lineup, and he's playing like play me off the bench at your peril because I am here to make shots. And he looks really good on defense too. Like he looks really locked in. Like, and sometimes when we need a bucket man, Jeremy can go get it.
I think that the bench is being coming off the bench is part of it, but I also just think he's enjoying playing this year. Like he's
Yeah.
enjoying playing with this team. I think he really likes playing with Jrue Holiday, and he really likes playing with these guys with a year more under their belt.
I think he really likes trying to win too. Like, I don't, it's not, it's really hard, I think, for guys who come into such a competitive profession to just like put that part on the back burner and be like, I'm not here to win. Yes, I am. I'm a professional athlete. I'm here to win. And it can be psychologically like it can be psychologically damaging to some guys, whether it's temporary or permanently, like to be asked to lose.
Hmm.
And watching Jeremy like try to win, like I don't know if you saw this picture, but there's some really lovely pictures from the game, the last game, the Nuggets game, where everybody's really embracing Jeremy
Yeah.
Grant. And it made me so happy to see that because Jeremy took a lot of criticism, like
Hmm.
in the press from the fans last season. And it was really, really nice to see him being like the key to a win.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I love this. I mean, I say this Jeremy Grant as if he's different from the Jeremy Grant from the previous 3 seasons. However, he is different because he's being asked to do something different, which is win.
yeah.
And like like you said, you can really see how it would take a toll. But it just makes me think, yeah, that must have been hard for him, and what a joy for him to be able to um come out and show that he's still got it too. It's interesting. Like we watched these young guys and we had all these conversations about who should be playing, who's starting over who. Like we need to get Scoot and Shaden all the minutes. Why are we playing these other guys? And now we see now we see the older guys playing, but they're providing us so much joy.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this. I think people could probably go back and listen to our old podcast from last season and think that we didn't like Jeremy Grant. But I think that one of the things that was probably true about both of us is that we didn't know when winning time would be here yet. at that point. And we knew that somebody like him, especially he's like late career, like we knew that he needed an opportunity to win and be able to show what he can do to the best of his ability because the team is trying to win for something. We wanted him to be able to play for something. And in lieu of him being able to do that here, we both, I think, wanted him to be able to do that elsewhere. But now he gets to do it here. And so, like, I want to be clear, I'm so happy that he's here. It wasn't that I didn't want Jerami Grant on our team, but I wanted him to not have to suffer for years and years and years on end until his career was over.
Hmm. The guy sitting next to me who was from Denver said that he's always missed Jerami Grant. And it reminded me, like, what Jerami Grant did to the Blazers when he was on Denver.
Oh my God. Whenever you hate a player, go out and get him for your team
Yep.
because you won't hate him when he's on your team.
And that also means you don't have to play against him. Like, that's my thing about, like,
Mhm.
one of the things I love about that was actually the thing I was prepared to like the most about Jrue Holiday is that we didn't have to play against him anymore. But that's like the 10th thing on the list of what I
Yeah.
like about Jrue Holiday now that I've seen him play.
Yeah, that's right. There's so much to like. Some of these guys, it's like the list of things to like about them is so long and growing.
Yeah. And so I will say that I am guilty of after maybe was it what hopefully it was two games, not just one game. Hopefully it was at least two games where I introduced to the group chat. Are they going to swap out the starting lineup because Shaden was really struggling or
Yeah.
he's not scoring the way that everybody was hoping that he would to start the season, the way he
Are you
played a little
surprised?
bit. I don't know. I love the idea of Shaden Sharp so much. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what to say about Shaden. Um, am I surprised? No, I don't know. What about you?
So there's two, I think two things can be true about Shaden for me, which is that I'm surprised at how good he is on defense. And I'm also not surprised that he's struggling a little on offense, simply because I think that he's being asked now like to play a role, which they were sort of asking him that last season too, but like now it's like you're playing a role and we're trying to win, which is like sometimes he needs to be the guy to
Hmm.
score the points. Because sometimes you see like a lineup out there mid game where you're like, okay, it's you or it's one other guy, and everybody else is there to make sure that you can score.
Hmm.
I think that's a lot to ask of a guy like Shaden. I think that he's still learning who he is as a player and figuring out how to fill a role. And like for a while, it felt like he was like, I'm trying to not dunk. That's what it felt like for a couple of games where I felt like he was trying to not dunk.
Hmm.
Like he was like, I need to take a mid range here. I need to take a three here. I don't want to dunk, even though I could go dunk. And so like I hope that his mind gets some peace and he can just start to feel the game a little bit more in this new role. Um, or the different context for his role because I do think he could be an amazing player, but I see the wheels working on offense more that I didn't expect to quite see, I guess. But it's not surprising. It's not that surprising to me that it's hard for him to do both of those things at a high level together. Like he's really brought it a lot on defense, and that has been told to him that like he needed to improve on defense, and he's far better than I thought he would be at this stage in the year. But time will tell about whether he can be able to go hard both ways on both sides of the court.
I would love to know from somebody who played competitive basketball if it sometimes helps to watch the game before you go in. And I just I'm so not advocating to bench Shaden. However, I wonder if for someone because you know how we've talked about some guy who are just like chaotic. He's like the opposite of chaotic. And I wonder if like watching a little bit of the game first before inserting him might be a thing that could even increase his output. But that could be that's probably something I'm just completely making up. But if anybody has played at a high level and has anything to say about that, I would love to learn more about that.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I've never heard anybody talk about that, but it just seems to me that like some people, I mean, it's kind of like, you remember how Damian Lillard would have like a really quiet first quarter or first half? He'd be playing, but he'd be like feeling out everybody else, and then he'd
Yeah.
go off in the second half.
Yeah. He'd find out who's hot, who's dialed in.
Right. Right. But and he and but he had to sit there and watch it play out,
And
you
he would
know.
try a bunch of different. He'd have like 8 or 10 set plays that he would run to see who was doing what.
Yeah, before and then he would like be able to turn it on. So it's not the same thing that I'm saying with Shaden Sharp, but I just kind of sometimes think I wonder if like sitting back and watching like the game of the you can watch film before, but when you actually watch like what is this game unfolding to be like, and then being able to put yourself into that. I don't know. That's probably a completely insane notion that
I mean, a lot of it comes down to like what kind of a learner are you too? Some people like are really visual learners and it helps them like figure out what they need to do better by being able to see how they could fit in. Like I remember who was it? We had a player, gosh, it was during the Stotts era. I can't think of this who it was now. But like they would play a really short first shift and then they would get a chance to sit and watch and then it felt like they would always be more themselves as a player in that second shift.
hmm
Who was I thinking of
Noah
now?
Vonleh.
Oh, it might have been Noah.
Noah Vonleh always started at 6 minutes of the first half, first 6 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, and it just felt like he got a little bit of experiential things going on. Like he
Yeah.
got some experiential learning, and then he got to sit and watch,
hmm
and then it felt like he was like more present, more of himself, and he knew what he wanted to do.
Because I always love the idea of, you know, uh, a young player sitting next to a veteran on the bench and the veteran saying, "Watch what so and so is doing. Here's what they're doing. Now, the way to counter that is to do this." And maybe like they've already even been in the game or whatever, but to be able
Mhm.
to like react to that like from the veteran's experience or could be so so valuable. I
Yeah.
missed veterans.
It's so nice to have a nice balance of veterans. And actually, just to go back briefly to the news about our coach being arrested. One of my first reactions was, I'm so glad Dame and Jrue are here.
hmm
Because had this team had neither of them like they were last year, I don't know how they would have like pushed through to play basketball.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I thought it was interesting kind of how like I mean we don't know behind the scenes what happens except for that they had a
Right.
meeting. But I know like Denny is the person who's sort of in the first couple days Denny and Tiago were the only ones who like talked about it. And
Hmm.
then I know that like I thought it was very interesting that like Damien did the thing where he like was kind of protecting him from the outside. And the way I get that from is like the way he reacted to Kevin Love, like who by the
Yeah.
way, I love Jazz Kevin Love. He's hilarious, funny. But he did post a meme that was a little bit too soon for that, Kevin. And Damian Lillard said, "Hey, there's real people's lives here." And and then Kevin took it down and said, "Okay, that might have gone a little bit too far." But I thought that was interesting. I kind of in my mind made up this scenario where like, okay, Denny is the person who feels like he can talk about it. Dame is the person who's kind of like protecting, like holding off the outside world, so that
Yeah.
these guys can do their thing. And then, obviously whatever else was going on, was happening to get the guys ready to go back on the court like the next day.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I thought of that in a slightly different way, but I saw those two things happening as well. And I wondered if Denny decided that he would be the one player who would talk about it because he felt really confident in his media training and that that was a role that he could take on for the team. It's like, I'll be the one to talk about it. And hopefully that would mean that once he talked about it, other guys wouldn't be bombarded in the same way and they would be able to move on that way. Because that can be really hard to hold that line.
Yeah.
Um, I think with the press. And Damien did exactly what I thought Damien do, which is he doesn't call out, he calls in. He called Kevin Love in. And the only reason why we know about it is because Kevin Love shared that with us, but we
Mm.
wouldn't have known about it otherwise. Like That is such a Damian Lillard way to call people in and be like, look, like I want us to like show respect right now to people who are hurting, and maybe this is not the right time to make a joke about them because this is their real life that's being like upended.
I think Matisse talked too. I forgot about that, but I think Matisse did say a few
We
words.
did.
Yeah. But it
I
makes
don't think I
sense that a
heard it.
couple guys probably, in my mind, a couple guys probably stepped up and said that they would be willing so that the other guys don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, and it makes sense that it would be somebody, quite frankly, like Denny and Matisse, because and less appropriate that it would be Jrue and Dame because they hadn't been here under Chauncey for all those years. They're
Mhm.
new to the team this year. Denny was seen as sort of a leader of this team in the last half of last season and going forward, I think. And then also Matisse is one of the longest standing guys on our roster at this point. So like, we have a bunch of guys that who had longer relationships with him that could speak to that aspect of it while also like leaning on their media training as like kind
Mhm.
of like mid veterans.
Yeah, yeah, because they've been around for a little bit. Okay,
But
looking at
I
the
was so proud of them, and I just want to say like I have a lot of confidence that this team's going to be able to like go through this tunnel and come out the other end.
um another thing, did I already say Brand Repair, not bad.
No, you didn't. Say it again.
Brand Repair, not bad. Like I I've like I've not like I can't even remember a Euro step. Like that's like he just comes in and Euro steps like all the way down the court or whatever. But he
Yeah.
like I was like, "Oh, nice." Yeah. I thought I it's nice to see him getting a chance and getting some run and having some good minutes.
Yeah, it's like it's getting on that time for him, and I would love for him to have more opportunity to stay in the NBA, and so I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that this really sticks for him.
Yeah. I just have to keep reminding myself how young he is and
He's
remind
a baby.
myself that he's really young, but for him to come in and hold it, like he played some pretty important minutes in some of those games where Chris Murray was out.
Yeah, he did. That's right. And because of the way like this team, like you never know, like Matisse is now out for maybe an extended period because of his thumb. He just had surgery on it. I think he tore a ligament in his
Mhm.
thumb. So they said 4 to 6 weeks on him. Scoot is still out for an indeterminate amount of time. Like he might still get an opportunity to show what he's got and show some growth.
I wonder what they're going to do with that Blake Wesley. I mean, I wonder how long. Maybe he's not going to be out that long.
Yeah, we
Um,
don't know. I hesitate to put his name on there because I don't know how long it might be out for a game. Might be out for
yeah,
0 games. I don't know.
yeah. It feels like they would have said something by now if he was going to be out for or if they knew what was going. So he might still be like questionable a couple of games, but it feels like if there was something major, hopefully they would have told us by now.
I would like to think so. If it was like a torn something,
Hmm.
or like a, grade whatever
Yeah,
bone bruise
sprain
or
or
whatever,
yeah.
yeah, they would tell us, but
So
hopefully
we'll
it's just
worry
like a
about
day to
what they're going
day.
to do without him until we find out if they are going to be without him.
Yeah, that's right. But let's cross our fingers and hope that he's back because he's so fun and like let those Hot Wheels fly. He's like those Hot Wheels that you like also can pull back and then it goes and it goes really fast.
He reminds me a little bit of Roadrunner, but that's probably somebody else's nickname.
It must be. It must be a
Somebody
road
has to be
runner.
Roadrunner.
Um, I think I have one more thing on my list.
Let's hear it.
Donovan's hands. Donovan Clingan, I don't know what he did. I don't know what kind of exercises you do or like whatever, but like his hands, his touch got softer. I remember last season that I think I voiced this to you at one point that I was a little nervous about his hands because he was often the first guy to touch a ball but not get the rebound, and that made me a little nervous because guys were targeting his hands when people realized that like he might not be able to like corral a ball in and keep it safe. Whatever he did in the offseason, his hands are good now. He is really good at grabbing rebounds and he's really good at getting the first touch and like that ball is his and not like somebody else's.
Hmm. We still have those times where they get like three offensive rebounds, but not the bucket.
That's true. We do get that.
But I feel very hopeful about the way that Donovan Clingan looks. I think he grew an inch. Because I swear they used to introduce him as 7'2", and now they introduce him as 7'3". And I've for years been like, why can't any of the people, why have nobody on my team grow when they're 21 years old?
And he was
So
already big. That's already big.
yeah, so I love where he's going. He's my candidate for like most improved player, not just from like last year to this year, but I feel like he could really grow because one of the things I love about watching Donovan is he loves winning. And this kind of
Mm,
goes back to like how Jerami looks and how Jrue looks and how these guys all look like they're having fun, which is not something that I really knew that I was missing until now I see it. But
mhm,
I really see Donovan working so hard, and I'm so glad that I was I was bummed that he didn't get to play Al Horford because I feel like he's somebody who learns a lot from playing somebody so that he can go back and make improvements. I feel like he makes improvements within game and especially from from game to game. So, no one is going to stop Victor Wembanyama. No one's going to stop him.
yeah, certainly not.
But if Donovan Clingan can be one of the more successful people at slowing him down, I would be
Mhm.
very happy. And I think he could because I think he wants it that bad. And I think that he learns quickly. And yeah, I think he's gonna have a terrific year.
Yeah. He's I was so pleased like the way he came back and I was like I had all these question marks. I'm like, what kind of minutes can he play? Because last year he couldn't play as many minutes, but it looks like he has done a lot. He's done a lot of conditioning. Number one, you can tell he's faster, his footwork looks better, and he's also like better conditioned to play longer minutes. And now his hands are good. Like my wish, he like checked so many things off my wish list for him, and he did it like in one season. I'm like
Hmm.
shocked at how much growth he's like had in one season. Like, what could he come back like next year? Like, I don't know. From the beginning of this year to the end of this year, he could be a completely different player. It's very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm very excited about Donovan Clingan. Are you at all surprised that Young Hansen is going to be playing or at least practicing with the remix?
No, I don't think so. Well, I was like if you'd asked me like a month ago, I would have been surprised. Now, today, I'm not surprised. I felt like I felt like that for a while they were just throwing him out there to see what happened.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that they realized that putting him in a position to fail was bad for him.
Hmm.
There was that video that came out of him on it was on socials of him getting he was like really upset on the bench. Where he was like you could see he was really upset with himself on the bench. I don't know if he was crying exactly, but like he was emotional on the bench. And I think that the coaching staff must have realized that like they have to give him opportunities to be successful and choose those opportunities maybe more like concisely
Hmm.
and also give him an opportunity to just grow his game and get used to the speed and style of like the NBA basketball versus like what he's coming from because you don't want to like crush his spirit. He's already working at a disadvantage. He's already like challenged with a like a language barrier. He doesn't have a lot of the same opportunities afforded to him as some of the other players because of that language barrier. I was realizing as he was like getting called for these fouls, he doesn't get to walk over to a referee and ask for an explanation for what happened and what he can be doing differently in order to not be called for that foul. He has to be able to go back, look at the tape, talk about it with his coaching staff, and like that process for him is different. And so just giving him better opportunities, but not necessarily just like these big shifts where they expect him to try to do something, like I think is maybe going to be better for his self-esteem as he's learning this style of play.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary. Also, his coach just got arrested.
That's right.
I mean, I thought of him. I thought of him just thinking, what is happening? Like coming to so far away from home. And then, Chauncey Billups is going to be, your coach. And then, and then trying to just like figure out what's happening. And, I can't even imagine what must have been going. And so I think being able to go play with or at least practice with the remix, get lots of reps in and like play basketball,
Hmm.
I think will be good.
I was thinking about it too, like Like what? He knows probably like what 50 people in this country, and like one of the most important ones to him, his coach just was arrested and is now like he's just gone for now.
Yeah.
Like you can't probably just talk to him. And Chauncey was one of the guys who was talking about like I'm trying to learn some Chinese. I'm trying,
Mhm.
like and that's all gone now. And
Mhm.
Tiago is also people forget Tiago's working in his second language too.
Mhm.
Like he's Brazilian, so I assume his first language is Portuguese. And I heard him say after the Nuggets win in like the locker room, he's like, my English isn't good enough to talk about everything that was good about this game. Like
Hmm.
we have a lot of guys that are not necessarily communicating in their first language.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great point.
Anyway, I hope that he gets his confidence back because when he was able to be himself, that little flash where we got to see him being himself, it's so fun and he's
Mhm.
so happy and such a joy to watch. I hope we get more of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I only had one more thing on my list.
Hmm.
It's very important.
Okay.
There's a lot of dogs. We have a lot of dog owners this season, and
Yes.
not just dog owners, but dog owners who are putting out content about their dogs. So we might be bringing back most valuable pet.
I think that would be a welcome return because for a while we were like it just felt like we had like maybe one or two dogs and we couldn't even figure it out because nobody ever posted about them.
Yeah.
Now it's like we have Donovan whose dogs have their own like Instagram account. I think that Chris's dogs have their own Instagram account. Like we have dogs that are like heavily featured now
Yeah.
online and we would be able to give most valuable pet. Ollie had a great was part of Donovan's Halloween costume 2 days
Hmm.
ago. And it was delightful. Although, did you ever go back and look at the like pictures
The
from the movie
character that
Up?
he's based on.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just thought I didn't know the character. I thought he was just a Boy Scout, which I thought was also really cute with his dog. But yeah, no, I thought that was this is great. Shaden has a dog. Jeremy has dogs. Jrue has dogs. They're not all necessarily featured, but some of them are. So things are looking good.
Chris has two, right?
Hmm. Yeah, two golden
And
retrievers.
he has two golden retrievers, and Donovan has one golden retriever. And did we
Hmm.
decide if Scoot had a dog?
I think he had a family dog. I don't know if he has a
Hmm.
dog here now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, we got lots of dogs, although like it could be most valuable dog because I don't think we have any pets that aren't dogs that
Yes.
we know of. Although you
I
never
know.
know. Some cat owners just are like, oh yeah, I have like 5 cats, and they're not all like Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is like the spokesman for like cat dads in the NBA, but some people just have them and they aren't like all over the internet.
We were living in a golden era when Yusuf Nurkic had cats and Robert Covington had snakes.
Yeah, that's right. Back when like there was a diverse pets.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it
right.
might be MVD instead of MVP. But if we do MVP, that leaves open for like if somebody gets one in the middle of the season.
That's true. You never know. Sometimes a mid-season pickup is exactly what the doctor ordered, and
Yes.
there you go. So if anyone's out there wants a snake or like a ferret or I don't even know what else you could get. I myself just got a new dog. For those of you who follow me on Blue Sky, you've probably seen her. We've had a golden retriever for 10 years. Her name is Luna. Now we got a second golden retriever, just like the Chris Murray and his fiance. We have a second golden retriever named Churro now. She's real cute.
Are they getting along well?
They are First, Luna was like, "What's this?" And then she's like, "I don't care." And so now the puppy just crawls all over her and lays on her or does whatever. And Luna's like, "I don't care. I'm an old lady."
Oh, that's so fun. Puppy time.
I know. They're really cute. Except for it's just like a tiny poop machine. You just have to make sure that you take your dog out like 10 times a day so that they don't poop in your house.
Okay, did we do all the things that you wrote down on your list?
Yeah, I have one honorable mention that I want to say. It's just that I'm so excited to see Rob back.
Oh, yes.
I was so happy to see him back. I think he feels really genuine when he does press availability. And you could still see his joy. Like he's excited to be back playing basketball and like watching him catch a lob. Like what's better than that?
When he caught that lob, I could see his smile all the way on the other side of the arena. He was so happy about that.
Ah, he's such an exciting player. And I like, you know, how we were talking about how he's like kind of a theoretical player.
Mhm.
Like if we get like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 games in a row, I might start to like pinch myself and be like, is this real now? Is he a real player?
Mhm.
And I just hope for his health all season.
Has the way the Blazers are playing right now affected the way your expectations for how they might finish in the league standings?
I don't know. I think when we were did Dan Favale's podcast, Hardwood Knocks,
Hmm.
uh, I said that I thought that they could win 40 games this season. I still think that's probably about right. I think that what's the thing that's going to be different, it's not about just the overall record, is I think that we're going to win close or
Hmm.
win and lose close. You know what I mean? Like, and that's maybe like a better indication for how I feel about the trajectory of our team and not necessarily how they're going to, what the overall outcome is going to be on the season. But I think if we're going to lose games, losing close feels bad in some ways, but feels better when you're on the path that we're on.
Hmm.
Because we lost big so much
I know.
for several years.
Yeah. By 60 twice in one season.
Too big. We lost too big. And so losing close feels like a breath of fresh air because like, you know, like on opening night, we're like, we almost won.
Hmm.
That feels like a win, like a lowercase W win.
Yeah. No, that totally felt like a win because it was like they did all the things that we had been told that they were going to do, and that in and of itself, even if it hadn't been a close win, would have been, worth a small celebration.
Yeah, totally agree.
And
Um,
I remember before the season started, there was a lot of talk about how the Blazers have such a tough schedule at the beginning. And so, like all the play, I mean, look who they've played and who they are going to be playing. It's just like, it's, it's so many people who were in the playoffs last season. Um,
the West is
so
brutal.
yeah, it's brutal. And so any win at all, we have to like cherish and stock up, especially in the Western Conference. So I'm keeping my win-loss expectations down because I think there will be a lot of close games. I am totally prepared to be pleasantly surprised to win even more than we expected. But I'm
Mhm.
also trying to not get like in the back of my head, I have all those years, the Neil Olshey years, the Damian Lillard years, where Damian like willed them to a lot of really great wins at the beginning of the season, and then
Mhm.
we all got ahead of ourselves, and then everything, all the wheels fell off the bus. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to protect myself for that, but maybe hopeful is one up from cautiously optimistic. I don't know. I need to figure out what's a rung above cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, that's you're I don't know. I
Maybe
mean,
it's just optimistic.
maybe you're optimistic. But you're like a little optimistic. You're not like I don't know, exuberantly optimistic about this team. Wildly optimistic. You're just a little optimistic.
I'm I'm very optimistic about the team. I'm not as optimistic about their ability to like make it in like fully into the playoffs. And then like make a run. I but very optimistic about the direction that they're going.
Yeah, and also I feel like pretty good about my prediction around 40 wins just because like right now based on the way I've seen them play because I think that one they're capable of either a little more or a little less than that but I think that's the right ballpark and I also know that at some point the injury bug always bites and you just don't know how bad that bite's going to be.
Yeah.
Gives you some room.
Hopefully it'll slow down since it's already started.
Um yeah. I but I'll say like I'm enjoying basketball again. I don't know the last time I felt this good about like especially after watching us play. Well, I guess the end of last season I felt pretty good. Um, but like I don't know, just trying to win feels it's a different mindset.
Yeah, and knowing that you actually could. Knowing that they actually could is really exciting. I remember all those years of, watching Clyde and Terry Porter and being like, down by 20, no problem. These guys got it. And they did. Like you would just never, even if it was a big lead, if the other team had built up a big lead, you just didn't give up hope.
Mhm.
And that's how I feel about this team is like, I'll, I would say, and I can confirm this now that we had that Jazz game. At the beginning of the night that the NBA kicked off, I can't remember which team I watched, but one team got a big lead and then it went away. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would rather be behind the whole game and then get it together and win right at the end than like have a big lead and just watch it dwindle. And having watched both of those now, yes, well, will concern. I would rather, even though they won that Jazz game, I don't like them being out ahead. I like them battling back from because then you never ever let up. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Well, that was our attempt to try to talk about the things that have happened in the last 2 weeks, because there were a lot of them, including the coach getting arrested.
And full disclosure, all like listeners, Tara and I actually had been preparing to do a Chauncey Billups deep dive
Yeah.
um episode because we had never done one for him, and since we thought he was going to be here for several years, we were preparing for that, but we have backburnered that for the time being. And so we're going to work on some of the other players and bring you some more deep dives on guys new to us this year. And also, I mean, soon we got to start talking about awards, Tara. We got to start
Yeah.
hyping up for
Gotta
the
fi-
What Awards and figuring out what we're going to give out at the end of the season.
Yeah, these guys got to know what they're playing for.
That's right. In the locker room, they got to all like decide that they're going to get the best chain or whatever.
We also had talked about doing an emergency podcast after the arrest, and like we had already planned on taking last week off because of my trip and you getting a new puppy, and we were like, let's just take the week off. And then the thing with the coach happened, and we were like, should we do an emergency podcast? And we were both kind of like, what we kind of wanted to sit on it for a little while because like what could we say? Like everybody was just trying to figure out what was going on and what the story was, and like I didn't really feel like I could add anything to it.
Yeah, same. And honestly, this is one of those things where I think that the immediate reaction can go either way for people. But we aren't going to have new information, and all we could tell you is how we're feeling. And in that way, like, what could we add? But other than just, I don't know, noise onto what you guys are all already going through as fans and listeners. And like, it didn't necessarily feel right. And so I think that Tara and I kind of decided that we're taking a line of like, emergency pods are for good things when we have good vibes to share. It's not really going to be our thing probably to react to negative things because like, you all are already going to be going through it from wherever you're sitting. And like, we don't need to add to that.
Right. And also sometimes like I feel like, so how many tweets or skeets have I typed in that I was like, I don't need to share that right now. And that was kind of also to me, it was just like, whatever my take is right now, I don't, I can keep it in the group chat. I don't need to broadcast it out there. Sometimes the whole world doesn't need to know what you're thinking or want to know what you're thinking or benefits from what you're thinking.
Right. And it doesn't, for me, like, it doesn't feel good. Like, a lot of people, I think, work through their feelings by like gaming out the what ifs.
Hmm.
That doesn't do anything for me. That like hurts me more than it helps me. And I think that, for people like me, that didn't feel like something that I felt like contributing to. I don't want to spin out of control. Like we only know what we know. Everybody else only knows what we know publicly. Everything else after that is speculation. There's a lot of podcasts talking about the speculation around this. You can go listen to those if that's what you want to hear. But like that's not going to be our thing here. Um, because I don't know, it just feels too bad for me to like even talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna focus on the things that we know. So look forward in the future to some deep dives on our new players that we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah. It's 1 o'clock on November 2nd, Tara. Can I ask you about your take?
Yes, I have a take.
You have a take.
I
Tell me your
do.
take.
I have a take, and I'm so glad that you didn't say anything about this because my take is I don't need to talk about daylight savings.
I love it.
I'm not going to even go any further than that. That's all I'm going to say.
I love it. Moving on.
What's your take, Rose?
My take, well, okay, so inspired by your Pride and Prejudice take, I have a take about media that is quite old and outdated and not relevant at all to what's going on.
Excellent.
The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
In the movie The Wizard of Oz, we have Dorothy with her three compatriots. She's got the Scarecrow who has no brain, she's got the Lion who has no courage, and the Tin Man who has no heart. In The Wizard of Oz, you see the Scarecrow show us ways in which he doesn't have a brain by like doing something that he's like, I don't know, and he does something silly or whatever, and you it's like a demonstration of this thing, this affliction that ails him that he wants the wizard to fix. You see the lion be scared constantly and crying and out of fear and whatever because he has no courage. The Tin Man has no heart. Why isn't he a jerk? Shouldn't that guy be a jerk? Shouldn't the Tin Man show us a way in which he has no heart, where he's like just a jerk to people or says things that are really rude? Why doesn't the Tin Man display his ailment that he's going to ask the wizard to fix in that movie at all?
Oh my God, you're so right. What does he do?
I don't know, but they also give him like a physical charm heart to like hang on his little, sorry,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, everybody. When he does
For
get
those of
his
you who
heart,
haven't seen The Wizard of Oz.
he
Oh my
does
God,
get a
you're
little
so right.
little charm display. He's got a heart, but like he doesn't actually do anything that makes you think that he doesn't have a heart, other than the fact that he's not like human, I guess, because he's like a robot, like or not, like he's like made out of metal or whatever. But like he doesn't actually display his ailment for us to see.
Yeah, the only thing that I can remember that happens to the Tin Man is that he gets stuck
Yeah,
and then they have
because
to
he's
use the oil,
well, yeah, he has to get oiled up so he can move again because he's rested.
but that doesn't have anything to do with his heart.
No. So my
Wow.
take is if they ever decide to do that movie again, which I think that they probably won't, but who knows? They're doing Wicked right now, so that's kind of in the ballpark. It's in the same extended universe, I guess. But like they should have a Tin Man that's written as a jerk. And he could be really funny. He might be like, so like the Scarecrow was supposed to be kind of like the I guess they were all sort of supposed to be like comedic relief, but like he could be really a really funny jerk if they made the Tin Man have no heart.
Did you recently watch this?
No,
You didn't recently watch it and you've
no.
just been thinking about this?
I don't know why I thought about it the other day. It just like popped into my head. It's like, why does anything pop into your head randomly? I don't know. Well, I thought about how like the Tin Man has no heart, but he's not actually heartless.
Okay, that's almost the more interesting thing to me is that you had that thought out of the blue. Like, where did that come from?
I don't know, honestly. My friend, I have a friend at work who has a Toto dog, so she sends me sometimes pictures of her dog. It's a Cairn Terrier, but it's the same dog as Toto, so maybe it had something to do with that.
Well, it's a brilliant take.
Thank you. So if any of you guys else have like hot takes about old movies and
This
books
is
and
going to
whatever,
turn into a litture podcast.
yeah, clearly, Matisse, slide into DMs and tell us what your hot takes are about literature because I know you're reading out there, especially recovering from surgery.
Oh, that's funny. Well, this has been great to get caught up on all of the happenings that have been going on. Thank you to our listeners. You can find me at TCB Biggs. You can find Rose at Roselle Harding. You can find the What Podcast at We Have a Take. All of us on Blue Sky. We are no longer on Twitter. Blue Sky is where we are having these conversations. Thank you, everyone who listened, who stuck with us for this whole entire long podcast, all the way to the end to hear our takes. Thank you so much for listening, and go Blazers!